Hi, this is Monique, and this is the Messiah Minute. So today I wanted to talk about a couple things. I wanted to give you a photo tip to use in cold weather because we're in Canada right now, and where I live, it could be up to like minus 30 degrees. Then I want to talk about some music that I'm listening to right now, and I want to talk about something I saw on YouTube. Actually, a couple different things I saw on YouTube today. One's kind of funny, one's kind of sad. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is Nikon cameras and cold. So one kind of tip that I learned after a while is when it's cold outside, it becomes difficult to use your camera. I like to use gloves that have like finger gloves, not mitts, in order to use the camera when it's cold out because your fingers are going to become cold and it's going to make your hands shake a little bit and you won't be able to move things around and it becomes difficult when it's cold. You can't write things down, you have to record things on a recorder to take notes and stuff like that. So one thing I do is I use little mitts, little finger mitts. But another thing I do is I like to make sure that my battery stays warm. Batteries in DSLR cameras sometimes they work optimally at certain temperatures. So you want to keep the battery warm for the camera to continue to function properly, or else it'll seize up or whatever. That's what I've noticed. So sometimes I like to tuck the battery in, not just in my backpack, my camera backpack, but I like to tuck it in under the first layer of clothing that I have on. So say if I have a jacket on, I like to tuck it in my pocket on the inside of the jacket. You know those little kind of pockets that they put on near your armpit or whatever. I like to tuck it in there just to keep the battery warm, and then I put the battery back into the camera, or I have a spare battery so that I can use in the camera. Okay. So another thing that I wanted to talk about was music. Right now, I'm listening to this song. I think it's called "Cold Water." It's by Justin Bieber. You know, I remember a couple of months ago, lots of people were like, "Oh my god, I don't want to listen to Justin Bieber. He sucks so bad." And I think it was because, he was doing a lot of things he shouldn't have been doing. But he seems like he's cleaned up his act quite a bit. And so I'm listening to a lot of his songs. And another one of his songs I like a lot is that Company song. So, yeah, I was working out the other day listening to the Company song. So I saw two kind of strange things on YouTube the other day. One, this really awesome YouTuber, Obro. Yeah, he has these videos up, and one of them was on facial contouring. Now, believe me, I love makeup, but I saw this video on face contouring, like, putting on foundation and stuff and changing the way your bone structure looks on your face. He basically said in his video, which was kind of comedic. He was saying, this is like putting on a mask. And it occurred to me, yeah, what would happen if you were in a relationship with someone who never actually saw what you looked like without makeup? Can you imagine that? What would happen when you had to take off your makeup? Would they see or think of you as a completely different person because they never saw what you looked like without it? I don't know. The sad thing that I saw on YouTube today was a documentary, and it's a documentary that is called Return to the Wild. It's kind of like the documentary that's around the book and the movie Into the Wild. It's the story of Chris McCandless. Excuse me, McCandless. And, you know, it was really sad. It was beautiful to see that he liked being in backcountry and woods and things like that. And I'm sorry to ruin the story, but I think everybody knows how it ends. He starved to death, and, it seemed in his journal like he wanted to go home. And, I've always loved being out in nature. And so that's why I just thought, the documentary talks about how people deal with other people, how they treat other people. And, I always thought really positively in my life that you should treat people how you would like to be treated. And it was really sad to see that he had the will to live, but he starved to death. And just to know that he was so close to civilization that if he, walked 30 miles or just a little bit further down the river, then he could have crossed the river or he would have been in civilization. But of course, he didn't know any of that. I thought while I was watching the documentary that I could go out and, visit that location, but I think it's best not to actually do that. I think it would be too difficult to know that somebody had gone through all of those struggles and had died at that location. Being so young, even though it was about 20 years ago, he was very young, and I think he was only 22 years old. He had quite a lot of life to live, and so that's why it was so sad. But I would recommend watching that documentary. It's a PBS documentary, so you can watch it on YouTube or you can watch it on television. It's the public television. And yeah, I would recommend watching the movie. There was a movie, I think it's done in like 2007 by Sean Penn that kind of talks about it, but the documentary is made by his sisters and it gives a little bit more kind of information into his background and some of his struggles. Okay, so this has been the Messiah Minute. Bye!